Skew's had a little bit of trouble with when he went off the other night. How's that at the minute?
Yeah, he's not looking great for the weekend, but at the same time, I got to know Cole in the short time we've been here, and I know that he's a quick healer, and that if there's any chance whatsoever of him feeling like he can contribute, then he'll certainly put his hand up and want to be part of the squad. So reluctant to totally rule him out, but he's certainly very doubtful.
Everyone else okay? It's been a busy little period.
Yeah, John Nolan rolled his ankle at the start of the game, so that's 2 games running where he's had an issue right at the beginning of the games that hasn't helped, and that's so today. We're more hopeful on that one, but again, it's not a definite in or out in John's case.
Clearly not for this weekend or Norwich, I would have thought, but how did Emir come through the whole game the other day?
He got 45 minutes, so it's something, but we would have liked him to have played more, but just felt he was a little bit of puffiness in his knee. But again, I think that's something we'll get through in time. While he was on the pitch, he did fine. It wasn't the greatest of tests, but at the same time there's an element of just getting back out there. It was at Portman Road, which I think helps as well in terms of just the feel to everything. So yeah, he's trained today. That's important, along with Teddy, who missed the game through illness after spending sort of some time with yourselves, looking forward to watching him playing. He'd been in that morning, so that was a little bit frustrating for everyone. But back out there, and I just keep saying, the more they train, the better it is for him.
Clearly nice to have Teo back after his 1-game ban. What have you made of his contribution so far?
We've done well, and being asked to play at times a role that's not quite his first, I think, port of call. But it's nice to hear today, for instance, that Tuesday when we travelled, he was in training and people speaking very well about his attitude to his training, which should be the case but isn't always, and that's nice to hear. He's trained today, done more than a lot of the other group, and I have to say again, he's looking sharp. He showed a good attitude to his work, and I'm pleased to have him back available.
Any concern over the lack of goals recently? I think it's just 2 in your last 4.
No, and the reason being, Derby scored 2 goals with 2 shots, 2 deflected shots. Are they going to be concerned about their goals? I'd say maybe not. We want to score goals, of course we do, but again, they can be misleading. But we have had more attempts in the games than the opposition in his last 4 games. I'm not sure even the Blackburn game. I think we maybe even on that call. So that side of it is positive. The negative is converting some of those chances. And again, we could have 1 million shots if they're all hitting the fans in the stand. That it counts for nothing. But at the same time, I don't think, to be honest, a lot of the games that I've watched, and you look at data from games, I'm not sure that there are as many attempts at goal as what sometimes people think. But if one goes in the net, that's kind of then forgotten about. We need to score a goal to win a game, of course. Hopefully we can do that at Hillsborough on Saturday.
It's about the sound of things, happy with the system that's brought you success in the past. While some fans might be banging for a second striker up top, that's not the way for you.
I'm not saying it won't be the way always, and it might be at a time where we do look at that, and it might seem as though it suits us better. But at the minute, I don't think personally there's a reason to particularly change. When all's said and done, we've got 2 real out-and-out strikers at the club at the minute. So, if we start as a 4-4-2, maybe Freddie, I suppose, would come into an option to do that, and 1 or 2 others potentially, but not, real, just simply strikers. And I think a lot of the other players has been pretty good, in all honesty. you know. But as I said, we do need to make sure that we're getting bodies forward in the box, and when we get there, you know, we've got to try and work the keeper. That was the frustration, having watched the game back in the cold light of day. You know, a lot of people had said there was nothing in the game, and on the night I was thinking maybe Derby they did have more possession, but were more threatening than they were. Maybe that's just the nature of being involved in it and kind of hoping that they're not going to score. But we were well in the game. It was some final sort of little passes and really taking care of the ball when situations arose that resulted in us maybe not having an attempt at goal. So that's certainly something that can be better, rather than particularly, you know, just having two strikers on the pitch or things like that. We all get obsessed with systems. I've done it before. Played with two strikers up front and gone through spells where you don't score. You know, what do you do then? 3 on, 4 on. You know, I think at the minute it's too early to really start worrying about it.
What have you made of the Championship so far, from what you've seen as town manager and also what you've watched back of other sides? Any surprises? Any tougher than you expected? I
think there's been some good performances from teams that I've seen, but I've also seen quite a bit else that I have to say doesn't, you know, strike me with fear, and shouldn't to the players. But you know, until we get more points on the board, then we're going to be at that other end, and perhaps you know, for me that's just the frustration from watching some games and thinking I don't believe either of those teams has performed as well as what we've done, but you know, one of the teams has maybe gone on to win it or scored goals from performances that aren't very good. So yeah, nothing. I think in general, not too much to fear, I would suggest. Albeit we know that there are some teams that, you know, clearly going to be stronger than others, and some very technically gifted players. But overall, in terms of our kind of work rate, approach, organisation, I think we, you know, look at a decentish team. You know, despite the fact we haven't managed to turn performance into victories and got a few more points on the board. So
even after 3 or 4 games when the league table means next to nothing, do you still have a little look at it and think, I don't want to be in the bottom 3 at any stage this season?
You can't help it, can you? Because they've posted there, you know, it makes me laugh, that first game, and suddenly there's a table at the side of the results. Like you say, it doesn't count for nothing, but at the same time it's nice if you catch a glance of it, or even just hear people speak, that you're not in that position. And as we speak now, I'm aware of where we are supposedly at in this table. So, you know, the quicker we can get away from that sort of position, the better we'll all feel.
What will a win do for belief amongst the boys, do you reckon?
Yeah, big. I think, you know, I want a win. I want a win for me on a selfish point of view, but most importantly, I think a win for everyone, fans included. It will just make everyone feel that little bit happier. And gets the monkey off your back, because if you know, the longer it goes, and there's still quite a few teams, you know, across the divisions that will be looking to get that result come the weekend, but clearly we're interested in ourselves, and the next opportunity is against Sheffield Wednesday.
And against Sheffield Wednesday, a club that was close to your heart as a kid.
Yeah, just saying there, you know, from going to watch games, that was my team growing up, and then, you know, playing for Sheffield boys, got to play on the pitch quite a few times, things like that. Seen the stadium change, seen some very good players there and good teams at various points, and went to the game the other night. So it brings back some memories, and you know, like when you come out and the songs gets going, kind of makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up a little. But very much come Saturday, you know, there's only one team I want to win, that's for sure, and it isn't Sheffield Wednesday.
Were you ever close to joining them?
No, I went there as a schoolboy in one of the holidays, but I was already at Rotherham, but went across, and I just didn't really enjoy it in truth at the time. So I chose to stay where I was, and I guess the rest's history, and I don't know how it might have panned out differently. I might never have made it as a pro, and I've been doing some other career now.
So will the family be there on Saturday? Does some of them still go to Hillsborough? Any split loyalties?
No, I think, well, certainly my brother and my dad are Sheffield Wednesday fans and want to see them do well. You know, I've got friends at the game and be seeing some of them afterwards that want Sheffield Wednesday to win, but not by too many. They've just told me. My family want me to win on this occasion, I think, anyway. Some of them will be there, yeah. So, you know, it's a nice occasion, but at the same time it's something, certainly, you know, I'm not getting sort of too wrapped up in, but it will be sort of a special moment in one way to lead a team out at Hillsborough. But that whistle goes and it's game on, and like I say, as you've mentioned, we're looking to try and get that first victory.
Lovely. Thanks, Paul. Thank you.
So what was the Sheffield Wednesday teams that you grew up watching them for?
The first one was sort of Gary Bannister was the big hero, and Gary Shelton, a team that sort of got towards, well, I think reached the semi-final of the FA Cup. I wasn't allowed to go. I had to go swimming while my dad went down to Highbury, which they lost. And then I had, you know, ones with sort of Brian Marwood in it. Again, a very good team. Watched them lose a semi-final at Villa Park against Everton. So yeah, I've seen a few, and obviously when they won the cup with John Sheridan's goal. So they have had some very, very good times, and you know, the last few years I think has been a little frustrating for them when they lost in the playoff final. And then, you know, obviously a few issues that they've had currently, but you know, still a very big football club, and certainly one that's well supported, and you know, that's something I'm looking forward, you know, to experiencing, along with obviously hopefully a good Ipswich following at the game. Should be a good atmosphere in the ground.
Yeah. You said you've watched a bit of Sheffield Wednesday so far, back their games. What have you made of them so far?
Change system already. At times, personnel's changed, so it's not the easiest of games where I can tell you, you know, this is exactly what they're going to do. I know what they've done at times, and we certainly know, I think, you know, the real sort of quality players that they possess. They've given quite a lot of young players opportunities. You know, certainly last night when I watched, there were quite a few in the team there. With this, you know, what I think many fans and people would say was a stronger players on the bench. Now, whether or not that was, you know, playing Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, just mixing it up, or whether they stick with what was a, you know, a winning team if people are fit. So it's not the easiest one to sort of inform the players. This is what you'll be facing. You know, I think the Blackburn game, for instance, I got the team spot on of what we expected to play, and probably at times we've been maybe 1, 2 wrong, if wrong at all. You know, I'm really uncertain in terms of what that team will be. But again, I think we know the threats that they carry, depending on which personnel's in there.
What about your own team? You've got a couple of injury doubts, but will that mixing it up be in your mind as well at this stage of the first month?
Without giving too much away, I don't think there'll be sort of too many changes. You know, I don't think we're in a position to really do that, and you know, people can perhaps look at results, and again, fully aware that's what matters. But I think large parts of the performances I've been relatively pleased with, so you know, I don't feel a need to change too much. If Scouse is out, and if Nolan was out, it certainly gives me you know, reason to change part of the team through necessity, and you know, something I'll have to look at.
Yeah, it's talking about personnel and tactics. Is it important that you have a fair bit of consistency with that in these first few months, because you're trying to get everybody to learn a way that you want to do? If you start changing all of that too much, it's difficult to really.
Yeah, I guess it's my job to decide which way to go, and if I strongly believe that playing a different way will benefit us, then I won't be afraid to do that. But at the same time, I think we have to be conscious of the fact of we can't, well, you can, but if you've gone through pre-season in general playing a certain way, you start the season off playing a certain way, and all the messages that you're trying to get, you know, what I don't want to do is sort of screw that all up, throw it away, and think, right, let's set off on another system, and then what if that doesn't work, or it's not great? So I think we have to give things a chance. For me, people might have a different view, but a lot of it I think is working. And goals change people's views, opinions. As we've said, had more shots than other teams now. Or if we'd have perhaps scored a couple of deflected goals, with the points total is different, 100% we wouldn't be having, you know, even this thought process or conversation. So I don't think there's enough wrong in his displays so far to really go too far away from them.
Yeah, you think if you replicate these performances over a longer spell, the results will come, you'll get more wins than defeats?
Yeah, I believe so. Again, I don't think we've really been outplayed. The other night I felt, and Derby did have more possession, but you know, certainly the first 60 minutes until the goal, not watching it back, actually I was probably happier than I was on the night, albeit, you know, the end result, so it kind of spoils the end of the like a bit like the end of knowing the end of the film. But I think a lot of it, the organisation of the team and the discipline was there. There's parts of it where positionally we could be more aggressive, that might give us better opportunities, you know, of winning the ball back, or of having people in better areas, that when we did win it back we can be a little bit more progressive quicker, which is something that Chris has been through with the players this morning. So no, I'm pretty happy with how the players have taken, you know, information on board.
And seeing the way that the guys you've signed from the lower leagues have stepped up, has that backed up your firm belief that, you know, that they are more than capable of doing it at this level?
Yeah, I think so. You know, again, maybe if we sat down and went through every single player, I think the lads that have come in have done pretty well. You know, I haven't seen a vast if I genuinely felt that the lads that I've inherited were head and shoulders above what's, you know, making up the team in terms of lads that I've brought in, then I'd, you know, happily hold my hand up and think, right, we need to maybe revert and put more of those in. And that's no disrespect to the lads that are here and that I've like I say, inherited into the squad. But I haven't, you know, seen that big a difference. It's just about getting them all together as a team and trying to improve, you know, each game that comes along.
Belief was the word you used on Tuesday night. I believe you said it to the players after the Villa game as well, that they've now got to have that innate belief that they can win games and they will win games. And will that only come with a win? Does that come from there? Or? We
can keep trying to sort of ram that message down the throats and get it embedded in their minds. But there's no doubt results for everybody, like I said before, actually help you buy into things. And that's where perhaps, you know, certainly at the beginning of last season, we even pre-season, had a really strong pre-season. The season began, and all the messages, there's no question marks whatsoever. It's there, you know, by looking at a table, no matter how early it is, or the wins column. At the minute, we haven't got that, and that's where it is more difficult. You've got to be, you know, have a strong mind, you know, be strong in your beliefs, and hopefully, and I'll say hopefully, I'm convinced that the wins will come if we stay committed to what we're trying to do. If we start wavering away from that, then we'll have an issue. But you know, as I said, I don't think I've had enough people comment about our performances that are neutral. They're not saying they think we've done pretty well just to sort of make me feel better. You know, some people I know that are very honest, and they feel that we've looked a decent team. You know, a decent team is fine. We want to be better than that, but we also want to win games. I know already that teams have played worse than us and won games of football. Now that's a bit of an art and a knack, and it's not the worst thing in the world to have. But generally, performances over a period of time will get you results, and that's what we've got to stick to and keep trying to churn those out.
Looking back at your former club, was there a moment where you felt it clicked when you look at the early days of, you know, similar situation where you changed a lot very quickly, and was there a moment where that belief happened, where things started to turn?
I think again, certainly last season it was just getting results. You know, I guess when I first went in there, we had a kind schedule where we had a cup game against a team from lower down. We had a checker trade game that we won, and then we had a sort of defeat, and you know, we had a bit of a sort of honest discussion again in the dressing room that I think moved us forward. We've had one of those already that again people for me have had too much of, but you know, I think the feeling was there was a reaction in the Villa game. I'm not sure it was because of anything I'd said. You know, the players put in a shift and stood up to be countered. At Derby, we lost the game. There's no getting away from that. Did we really deserve to be beat? I guess after the first goal, it was hard to see, you know, that way back, and that's where that belief came in. But I think the first 60 minutes, I don't think anyone could have really said there was much between the teams, and that's a team that, while there's some changes occurring, is certainly expected, or expectations are a lot greater than what we have. So, you know, as I said, certainly not time to worry too much, or be thinking we need to have a sudden rethink. You know, whether that's tactically, personnel, whatever that is.
Good luck.
Thank you. Cheers.
23's put in an impressive performance on Monday. Anyone catch your eye and pushing on into your thoughts of the first team?
It was an impressive team display. Again, without being too unkind to them, you have to look at what they were up against. You can only beat what's in front of you, so they certainly did that, and I was pleased with their performance for the first probably 25 minutes after the break, because as said in the dressing room, you know you're the better team. How many times do you see it where you win a first half like that and then it kind of just really sort of goes, you know, a very boring game? The lads pushed on and kind of doubled the scoreline. That was the most pleasing part. The last 20 minutes when there were a few changes, kind of lost a bit of momentum in that. But that's the period I was particularly pleased at, because I think you start a game, everyone's got a bit of enthusiasm. If you're on top of the game and things are going well as they were, it's easy to sort of keep that going. But no, there were some good individual performances within the team. But overall, I think you have to look at a team display to win by that scoreline.
When Tristan Nyden wasn't involved in that game, or with the first team, what's the situation with him at the moment?
He's returned to training today. He'd had a little issue with his quad that said nothing major. He's back training, but that's all that was.
And you're still maybe eyeing a loan for him?
Yes, yeah, we've seen, as it stands, no one's been in for any of the players on loan currently. It wouldn't surprise me if we did get a few calls partly on that. Again, it's difficult if you go and watch that sort of game though, because you know, are you just simply going to look at the player, or are you going to factor in opposition, etc. But like I said, some players did do very well. So we'll see if, you know, anyone gets in touch.
And the traditional question about any additions, how committed you are to bring anybody in?
Unfortunately, nothing's changed since we spoke Tuesday evening. So we've got another week of potentially, and me checking my phone. So I think for all the sake, we'll be glad when it's kind of almost a week and a few hours in advance of that.
So it's still 2 targets, a striker and a centre half, you said before.
Maybe 3.
January's situation makes it slightly more.
Yeah, that's the difficult one. I've told that situation is sort of moved forward, but we haven't had a definite right that's done. So it would make it more awkward. Again, that ends up being a decision I have to make. But we've got to be able to get the players in first and foremost.
So is that another attacking player, or someone else play wide?
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah.
Oh, sorry, on the Donatian situation, if that work permit issue gets sorted beyond the window, does he then become a permanent transfer immediately?
That's the way I'm led to believe.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say 100%. That's the question I've asked on a couple of occasions, and I've been told that will be able to be converted instantly. My concern was that we'd have to wait till January. Yeah. As far as I've been told, that will happen straight away.
So if that's the situation, that would you'd be more comfortable with getting?
Yeah, because that way I'm not having to leave anyone out. And you know, if it came to it and the options were out there, and that's what I had to or felt was right for us. You know, I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it, but I think I've said right from the start it's not an ideal situation, and I prefer not really to be in that scenario. You know, when we signed Genoa, we didn't expect it to, you know, be something that would cause us an issue on that side. So hopefully it can be resolved and we get confirmation that he is a permanent signing.
And there's plates spinning in terms of incomings. Is there offers on the table? Is it ones that are saying that, you know, we might need to get someone in before we let out? Is that where you're at?
That's a fair summary on both counts, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.